Hi, this is Barry Rosen from Applied Vedic Astrology. I wanted to tell you about my new class, Spiritual Astrology in the Schools of Karma. I've kind of revised the curriculum. I'm very excited about this class, and it's kind of a unique class that most people don't understand what I'm doing. So I thought if I made a YouTube video, you'd have a better idea. Class starts on May the 7th. You can sign up on, it's going to run every Sunday. It's going to be done on GoToMeeting, which is where I'm recording right now. If you can't attend the class, you can view the recordings. And we'll have a Facebook chat room so that you can ask questions and be involved in the class even if you can't attend the recordings. You can email me at barry2@fortucast.com or at www.appliedvedicastrology.com. Let me tell you a little bit about the class. I'm calling it the Schools of Karma and Spiritual Astrology. I'm trying to kind of one of the things that I'm very interested in is that my purpose in astrology is that if we understand the planets and how they pull our strings from a psychological and emotional point of view, then we can kind of cut the puppeteer strings and transcend and be separate from the grip of the planets. And that's always kind of half the battle. And to me, that's a way of getting free of karma, because you see light, the light shines on the karma. From Jyotish, you understand the karma, you can kind of step back on it. One of my spiritual teachers was kind of fond of reminding us, like victimization is a very common pattern in people's lives, and he said it's kind of like swimming in sewer water. And if you're subject to a victimization pattern, you've got to kind of catch it as it comes up. So as soon as you get victimized, you kind of buy into the energy that's coming up. And instead, you've got to you've got to pull back and kind of witness what's going on and saying, I'm not going to repeat this pattern. So kind of by pulling back and witnessing the pattern coming up, then you're able to kind of get a grip on it and not buy into the cesspool. It's a little, in a sense, the planets help you do that also. When you understand that you have these psychological shadows coming up, you can like say, oh, there goes my shadow again, and I'm not going to repeat that. So spiritual astrology is kind of having the awareness about what your patterns are and then seeing them, and certainly some of the stuff that I'm interested in teaching. So the first week of the classes, I'm calling it Esoteric and Spiritual Realms of Planetary Signs and Planets, Types of Karma. And so we're going to talk about the three major types of karma, and the karma is related to the 6th, 8th, and 12th house. We're going to talk about like a mythological and psychological patterns connected to the planets and the signs, and to keep, and we're going to kind of offer deeper insights into the planets than you're normally used to seeing. So, for example, Mars is, people always think about Mars as violence and war and all these kind of negative things, but Mars is often about service and action, and on a spiritual level, it's service to the Mars is the warrior who serves the king and is there to kind of create order in society. And so, sometimes, when Mars is afflicted in certain ways, the Mars is taken off the path. Like Mars is in Taurus, it's in kind of a sexual sign. It's in the 7th house. It tends to get kind of caught up in sexual intrigue and get off its highest duty and service. So one of the things that I'm hoping to kind of teach is kind of the mythological and psychological realms of the planets and their placements, in this first lesson. In week 2, we're going to cover Boudica. I'm doing a talk on this at the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference in November, so you get a sneak preview of this lesson. Boudica is this kind of hidden shadow that's in our charts that we can't even see. It's so kind of blind in our charts that that it kind of runs our lives and we can't always see it. Bodikas are connected with, for dual signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces is connected to the 7th house. So those signs tend to have Boudica lessons involving relationship, and they tend to get into codependent, idealized relationships, and they have deep relationship karma. And Boudica is particularly strong if the Boudica planet is the owner of the 7th house is afflicted by a malefic, and then sometimes there's deep kind of karmic lessons to learn out. The movable signs have Boudica connected to the 11th house, which means they have problems with groups and income issues and friends. For example, my wife has this issue and everybody loves her to pieces, and yet she thinks nobody likes her. It's kind of like this hidden shadow that she has about her friends. And then Boudica to the 9th house is particularly fascinating because, and that's for fixed signs like Scorpio and Leo and Taurus and Aquarius. And when the 9th house owns Boudica, it means we have problems with gurus and fathers that are very kind of hidden, and also with spiritual groups and spirituality in itself. I find that astrological, bypass, spiritual bypass, where we kind of ignore our hidden wounds, is kind of seen with this 9th house Boudica, where people get very involved in religion and gurus, and they give themselves up in trying to kind of heal their own personal wounds, and they don't see those or acknowledge those personal wounds becomes a problem. So Boudica, a very fascinating topic that we're going to cover in week 2. Week 3, we're going to look at multi-levels of symbolism in charts. Again, this is something that people don't do enough. I mean, as you know, astrology has multiple levels. There's an emotional level, a psychological level, spiritual level, a physical level, and an external level even. To give you an example, I have a friend whose chart, he has K2 in the 4th house. 4th house represents mother, it represents vehicles and home, it represents the heart on an Ayurvedic level, represents obviously kind of an emotional level of security where mother is at home. So a friend of mine developed car problems, and no one could find them. K2 tends to create hidden problems wherever it goes. So in the 4th house, K2 is creating hidden car problems. You take it to mechanics, they couldn't find it. Finally, after about a year and a half, they found he had a valve problem in his car. And at the same time, went to the doctor, and he had a valve problem in his heart. And then he was really, we're looking at the multiple levels of astrology, and obviously K2 in the 4th house, mom isn't there enough. There's a lack of mother maternal support. So at some level, his physical heart starts developing a block. His car, because he's not dealing with the block in his physical heart, his emotional heart is, is wounded from not feeling mom. His car starts developing a valve problem, the same kind of issue. And it's all kind of pointing back to heal this kind of core level issue of K2 in the 4th house, which is mother's not at home, mom isn't there, I feel insecure, and so the car starts manifesting. So I'm going to kind of do a lesson on kind of these multiple levels of symbolism and how to translate them. Quite fascinating. Lesson 4 and 5, I'm calling the School of the Planets, Astrology Karma. Different placements in different houses, particularly with the outer planets, tends to create certain kind of karmic lessons in our lives. These lessons are kind of very deep lessons that we need to understand from past lives. And so when you get, let's say, Jupiter connected to the 1st house, that's kind of a positive karma, and that's where it gets kind of digbala and makes one a great teacher, and has lots of luck with health and things like that. But when you get these negative placements, let's say you get Jupiter in the 3rd house, which is a karma house connected to kind of fun, then the person has not learned the higher aspects of Jupiter and wisdom in respect to gurus. And in the 3rd house, it's caught up in sexual play, and he's not learning the lessons of that particular planet. So each of the planets, particularly outer planets, has these lessons, and the houses they're placed in create certain karmic lessons, and we'll have 2 weeks on that material. There's quite a bit of very wonderful material on that. Week 6, we're going to go deeper into the 8th and 12th houses. And the eighth house is a house of transformation. It's kind of one of these mysterious houses in Vedic astrology, and usually it tends to create unexpected problems in one's life that come out of nowhere, sometimes illness or accidents or legal problems, and usually those are really, in the end, even though they're very painful, they're there to create deep lessons in our lives to learn. 12th house lessons, are about sacrifice and surrender, and even though traditionally they thought about loss, I think 12th house is really about seva and surrender. I still find a lot of spiritual people have a lot of 12th house issues, which means their life is about sacrifice and giving to the higher good in quest of moksha. So we'll have a lesson on those very wonderful houses in more detail on week 6. Week 7 and 8, the astrology of the soul. We'll start getting into some Jaimini astrology, which is quite fascinating. And that's where each one of the planets, with the planet with the highest number of degrees, is there to kind of teach specific lessons in your life. So let's say you have Jupiter having the highest number of degrees in your chart. Jupiter, when it's not Makaraka, is kind of a gift, but it also means that you have to be teaching and sharing your gift of being a great teacher and a coach. And often when Jupiter's out in the park, people are great teachers and coaches, but they don't go out and do it. And so one has to learn the lessons of the Atmakarika, which is guiding your soul towards liberation, and learn the lessons. And once we understand the Atmakarika, we can look at some of the deeper charts. There's some wonderful charts in Jaimini astrology called the Karakamsha chart and the Karakamsha Rashi chart, where you can see a soul's purpose on the planet. So we're going. These fundamental lessons are on spiritual astrology in the sense that we're looking at how the soul is manifesting its life in the material world in these charts. So this course is quite amazing. I actually have to teach these classes because I've compelled. I mean, actually, I earn my living, guiding people on finance. But my most fun thing in the world is teaching astrology, and teaching astrology in a very kind of unique way. And so I hope you'll join me in my class starting on May 7th. You can register online at www.appliedvedicastrology under the webinar link. There's a early bird discount of $199 if you register by August 22nd. I do have people in the class. I am teaching it. I'm kind of compelled to teach these classes, and I think those of you with a little bit of astrology or a lot of astrology, even if you have a Western background or an Eastern background, will find this material quite fascinating and very unique, and I think anybody can pick it up at any level that they're at. I mean, we're not going to go into, most people I think sometimes are afraid to take my classes because they don't know enough astrology, and I'm always kind of aiming to make the material accessible to new people who have some basic knowledge of astrology, and even to advanced people, because I'm giving very kind of detailed new information with new insights. So that's all I wanted to share with you. If you have any questions, you can email me at barry2@fortunecast.com. Have a great day.